Okay, we are up. Okay. Welcome in everyone to Tier 3 Blue Round 3 for ALR at Watkins Glen, which should be a tricky one for the racing, I think. There's a couple of, well, there's one, I'd say there's one easy place to overtake into the chicane's a bit risky, especially on, well, any lap really. But let's go a quick run through the grid. We've actually got Gunmad on pole, which is a massive improvement from last round when he had some sort of lag problem and ended up 16th, I think, in qualifying. But on pole in the M6 at Watkins, not surprising. His teammate Watkins, who's leading the championship, is missing for this one, which is unfortunate because this is a great track for the M6. We've got Ross in second, which is to be expected. Ross loves this track and has gone well before. I'm expecting him to do well again. And the Audi R8's been proving pretty good this season, especially for Ross. Hurricane can see down at the back there, not doing quite so well in this one. Then we've got Marty in P3, so having another strong qualifying. Fancy in the 4GT, which is an impressive qualifying in fourth. Not an amazing car, the 4GT around here, but we've been saying that a lot, and they've still managed to be up at the front. Then we've got Clyde again, with another strong qualifying. Hasn't done so well in the races, which is unfortunate. Then we've got Sky Cloud in sixth, another decent qualifying. Not as strong as they were in round one, where they were on the front row, but top six can still make some good progress from there. Got Arfaxad in the McLaren. Got Zab, I think the highest Zab's been this season in qualifying in the Lamborghini, which is pretty good. Got Filthy, which is Arfax's teammate in the McLaren. Henners with probably, I think, his worst qualifying of the season so far in the Honda NSX, next to his teammate this time. So Fossey, not sure whether that's Fossey improving or a bad one from Henners, but on the edge of the top 10. So still chance at a decent sprint race to get a good starting position for the feature. Then we've got Ellie in 12th in the 4GT, struggling a little bit, which is not too surprising. Kind of puts emphasis on how well Fancy Locks did to get into fourth with it. And Hurricane down in 13th with the Audi, when his teammate is in second, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that, I think. We've got Kanata in 14th in the Supra, not getting on with that Supra so far this season. Did get the win at round one, but apart from that, it's not gone that well for Kanata. And then we've got Dougal, which is Stay Frosty. Stay Frosty in the Mazda RX Vision, which I'm not sure. It used to be probably one of the best cars around here. Not so much anymore, but can still have a decent result, even from 15th. There's plenty of chaos to be had and lots of penalties, which are probably going to affect everything. Let's check everyone is on the softs. Yeah, nobody going for the mediums in this. It did happen in some of the races, but let's keep an eye on Gunmad as we go off to start the race. Looks like a little bit of a worse getaway than Ross, although actually the BMW's got a better acceleration, manages to hold it. Looking under a bit of pressure from Marty around the outside, but manages to hold it nicely, and looks like he's got quite a comfortable lead up to the chicane. Probably not going to get challenged into there. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone can close in. AMG not great in straight line. And it looks like everybody managed to get through turn one pretty cleanly. This is a useless camera angle. There we go. So nobody managed to catch Gunmad. We've got Marty holding on to second quite nicely. Then Ross, and we've got a bit of chaos down here. Ooh, let's go back and have a look at that. Let's go on forward with Clyde here. So, Fancy goes not really too deep, just a little bit of bumping and barging, and then there's just people avoiding action there, really. It's kind of a racing incident, to be honest. A lot of contact, though. which you don't really like to see. Fossey up from 11th to 5th, so he's profiting massively out of that. And even Henner's now going up to 6th, and this is just going from bad to worse for Clyde, who's actually in a good position and didn't really do anything wrong in that incident. So that is unfortunate. And the top 4 have got a bit of a breakaway now. But it looks like Gunmad is still being held onto by Marty for now. You should be able to hold that comfortably. Nobody's looking at going for a move in this top group. Oops, spoke too soon I think. Marty was getting really close on the exit to Gunmad there. Nobody's going for a move there, but I would expect Ross to be able to at least close back up to Marty, because Marty was only 6th in qualifying, and like I said, Ross really strong around Watkins. And we've got, was that Fossey defending, or is he? I think that was Fossey letting his teammate through there. Which again, I think we've seen him do that before. So playing the team game really early on. And now let's see if we can hold Ellie behind. I would guess not on the straight, because that Ford is a bit of a weapon compared to the NSX. Ellie does manage to get to the inside and should have no issue holding this on the inside. Does Fossey want to fight it around the outside? Because that is risky. Yeah, it looks like he backs out of it just to fall back in line. And we've got Zab up into 8th, and I think that is Skycloud dropped down to 11th, so not a great first lap for her. Let's see if Fossey can hold on to this position inside the top 10. Because I think he's finished 11th twice in the sprint race of the first 2 races, which is just not high enough to capitalise on the feature race. Zab actually trying to go around the outside there, which is a brave move. Doesn't quite manage to get it pulled off. Pulls into behind into the slipstream. Should be able to get a good run down to this next corner. Doesn't look like he's thinking about going for a move though. Decided to stay in line. Clyde has sort of stabilised in 10th, hasn't dropped any further down than that, which is good. He wants to stay in the top 10 if he can. And we had somebody drop off the back. Stay Frosty probably had some sort of spin. It looked a bit too big of a gap to be a penalty. So I think it was Filthy that was getting on close onto the back of Zab there. Not looking for the move, thinks about it, backs out of it. See if he can get a good run down here into the chicane. He's still right on the back of Zab, so there is a chance they could make the move into here, but I would expect Zab to go defensive here. He doesn't quite go defensive enough, but he does manage to cover it up eventually. Yeah, Filthy decided not to go around the outside there, probably a smart decision. And it looks like he's lost quite a bit from taking it a little bit easy through there. So what was that? That was Clyde going a bit deep there, I think. Oh, that was Skycar going for a really late move there. Pushing Clyde out of the way. Be interested to see if that gets reported or not. Then that's actually going to bring Clyde under pressure from Hurricane now. So this has all sort of gone wrong for Clyde, and it's not really any of his fault, which is unfortunate. Hurricane on the inside now, looking to make the move. Does manage to outbrake him and get it stopped nicely. So Hurricane now up to 11th. So let's have a quick check back in with the front runners. Everyone's still kind of in order. Henners has closed up massively up onto the back of the front 4, because there was a bit of a gap there. Oh, I was fancy getting it on the grass. Very easy to do that. You want to maximise all the road, and you're just pushing it a bit too far. And I think that was Fossey in the background picking up a 1.5 second penalty, which is going to cost him a lot on the next at the end of this lap. So let's see if Fancy can fight straight back with the speed of the Ford GT. Does manage to get to the inside. But yeah, you don't really want to be out on the inside that early because it gives you the outside for that corner. Let's see if Hennes goes fully defensive here to try and keep this position. It doesn't look like it. No, he's just sticking pretty much to the racing line. Fancy not going for it there. Now actually, Ellie's made a massive amount of progress from, I think he was outside of the top 10, so up to 6 now and closing in on their teammate. These three dropping it back a little bit from the top 3. But Hennes managed to close the gap before, so it'll be interesting to see if Hennes can close back into the top 3. And maybe get a chance at a podium, because this is a fantastic race for Hennes so far, up from 10th into 4th. Got a bit lucky in, I think it was the second Red Bull Ring race, where he was on for a poor result and then the rain kind of saved him, but he's doing it all himself in this sprint race after a poor qualifying. I think that was Ross looking at the back of Marty as well. And they're both holding on to Gunmad quite well. So Marty having better race pace at the moment than he did in qualifying. Up to second, holding it there with the 2 cars that qualified on the front row. Hennes actually has the fastest lap at the moment with a 44.8, which explains how he was able to close that gap so much. And he is pulling away from Fancy. Another 44.9 on the last lap, so he's got good pace. It's maybe just not having putting a lap together in qualifying. Can Ross go for the move here? He's quite close, and he's in the slipstream. Marty's probably got the slipstream from Gunmad as well. Looks like he's not going too defensive. No, doesn't defend really. And actually pulls away quite a bit through the chicane. AMG probably is better over handling the curbs than the Audi, but that might be a penalty for Marty going too wide on the exit there. It isn't. So I was very lucky to get away with that one, I think. But these front tyres almost half worn already. Ross's tyres looking considerably better, and so are Gunmad's. So he's going to start struggling, I think, pretty soon, because that 50% cut-off is where you really start to lose performance. And is still closing in slowly onto the back of Ross. His front tyre is actually not looking too good either, which is quite surprising for the Honda. It's usually the rear tyres that go first. Fancy's actually following Hennes though, quite nicely. Got a little bit of a gap behind to their teammate Ellie. And we've got Zab up to 7th. Yeah, that was Fosse's penalty a couple of laps ago. I think he's down to 10th now, so on the bubble of that reverse grid pole. We've actually got Kanata who's made up a couple of positions, and Clyde has dropped another one, so it's really not going too well for Clyde. And it's not going that well for Arfaxed either. Possibly caught up with that incident on lap 1, I'm not sure. It was about where he was position-wise, but he's actually, I think he's in 2nd or 3rd in the championship, so not great for him either. And we've got Clyde thinking about looking for a move on Kanata, but I expect that Supra to pull away, especially with the slipstream from Skycloud ahead. So is Kanata going to be close enough to go for the move? Looks like he is. Skycloud does defend a little bit, but not really. Leaves Kanata to the inside, and Kanata does get that move done, and does manage to get it stopped nicely. By Skycloud, 2-second penalty. He's harsh, particularly where they picked it up. And that is going to put them down to 14th pretty comfortably. Now Kanata's actually coming under threat from Clyde again. Should hold this on the inside and then we'll get promoted into 11th with Skycloud's penalty. Yeah, there goes Skycloud. So Kanata currently up to 11th. And does manage to hold it. For now, leaves the inside open. Does Clyde go for the move on the inside? He does. So If I was Canati, would have defended that from our backside. Who can't watch that from our backside's point of view? Just really capitalising on this. A little bit of contact there, and then he just goes to. Well, I'm not sure. Looked like a bit of netco sort of lag contact. But he's actually on the inside of Kanata. Kanata's still there on his inside. He does get a better run around here. Let's go back to the cinematic view. So does he want to hold it around the outside? Is Kanata going to come back to the outside? No. Garfesta goes really deep on the brakes there. Really brave around the outside. Really nice move there. But he's going to come immediately under threat from the Supra again with its straight line speed. And immediately Kanata's getting sent to the outside. Is Arbeck's defending? Yeah, Arbeck's then completely covering off the inside there. And Kanata's just ahead, but they are going to go side by side through the chicane. Arbeck's side just about keeps it on track. Does manage to hold on to this position. Sky Cloud looks like she might actually get Clyde here. So that 2-second penalty sort of being nullified with all the battling that was going on there. Looks like these have sort of settled in, so let's go back up to the front because something has happened to Ross, and I saw it a while ago. Was it just a penalty? Yeah, 1 second penalty. 1 second penalty cost him all those positions? Yes, it did. Let's go back to having some sort of battle with Fancy there. Jesus, this was going on for a while. So he serves his 1 second penalty. Headers gets through pretty comfortably. Then you've got Fancy and Ross going side by side through here. And looks like Ross is going to hold it around the outside through this corner as well to keep them side by side. Yeah, keeps it around the outside nicely. Still going side by side. Managing to keep it on track. Very easy to get pick up a penalty there when you're going too wide or trying to go too wide. And they're still going side by side. Ross really does not want to lose this position. Like I said, qualified second, so he has good pace, so you want to keep as far forward as he can and make the most of that pace. But Fancy's still on the outside of him. You would expect by the end of the straight the Ford will come good in this battle. And he's actually allowing Ellie onto the back of him and Zab as well. Ross has actually come off better from this at the moment. But Fancy's coming around the outside really quickly and manages to hold it around the outside. Really nice there. Late on the brakes. And actually Zab managing to get past Ellie, but picks up a 2 second penalty, and that's going to cost them probably only the 2 positions, but that is going to put them down at the bottom end of the top 10. And they're actually going past Ross at the moment. Ross probably not too bothered about that because of the penalty, and Zab actually picks up another second on top of that, so that might end up costing a position to Hurricane at the back of the shot there. So let's just see how much is this going to cost Zab. Costs him that. Does it cost him the position to Hurricane? It does, so it puts him down to 9th in the end. Oh, and just misses a braking point there. Yeah, it looks like he's waiting for Hurricane to get back on. Fair play. And then we've got Fossey on their own in 10th. So hopefully they'll be able to hold on to this. Let's go and have a check-in out of the front. So Gunmad is running away with this one now. Got a couple of seconds advantage, and got considerably better tyre wear than both the cars behind him. So it's been a great performance from Gunmad so far. Also got to be said, a great performance from Hennes, up from 10th to 3rd now and looking to get second. And looking at the tyres, I wouldn't be surprised if he does manage to get Marty, because they might go fully red at one point before the end of the race, which is just going to be a death sentence. Especially with all the cars so close behind him. Henner's looking to go for the move now. He's almost alongside. Tries to go side by side, yeah, backside of it. Ramarzi holds on to it for now. And this is actually allowing Fancy Locks into it, so as Henna's going through, that's just that front left tyre giving up on Marty there, just could not carry the speed around that corner. And Fancy Locks are even better than Henna's are, so shouldn't have too much of a problem going past Marty here. And Ross still in 5th on the back of Fancy, so still close enough to profit from Marty's tyres going off. So Marty holding the position. The next corner that's really going to cost him. Ooh, Fancy going for the move immediately, sends it up the inside. Marty manages to hold on to it though. But yeah, the next corner onto the start straight is where the next corner Marty's really going to suffer with that one front left. So I did Fancy Locks get a good enough exit there. Looks like he got considerably better exit. Marty does cover off the inside. Fancy Locks has been doing this all day, just sending it around the outside of people. Another fantastic move there. And we've got Ross trying to profit from this, going up the inside of Marty. And it does give him the inside for the chicane into the braking zone. And he's still alongside, but he's not completely through. But he's probably going to be braver on the brakes. Marty with that almost completely dead tyre. And that actually allows Filthy to almost make the move there. And he does make the move there. Was far enough alongside to be entitled to some room, I think. Let's have a look at Henna's. Henna's tyres are okay. Gunmad cruising along out front now. Marty's still trying to fight this position back, but yeah, you can see there, just there's no grip on that front left. And it's pixels away from dying completely there. And Ellie should be able to hold this position pretty easily. Yeah, Marty going way wide. He's got a bit of a gap behind him though, actually quite a big gap behind him. To Zab, who's got back ahead of Hurricane now. Let's just go on board with the leader for this final one, because he has absolutely dominated this race from the front. Kept his tyres alive, considerably better than most people there. So great race from Gunmad there. Henna's with an amazing race from P10 to P2. Fancy Locks getting on the podium. We've got Ross in 4th, Filthy 5th, Eli 6th, Marty in 7th. We've got Zab holding on to 8th, ahead of Hurricane, Alfaxad in 10th. And Fossey in 11th again, just missing out on that reverse grid pole. He's going to be kicking himself for that. And we've got Clyde after a really eventful race for Clyde. Not most of it, nothing to do with himself, just got caught up on the bad side of some incidents. Carter ended up down in 14th. And then we've got Steve Frosty in 15th. So another race where he was a little bit off the back there, a little bit away from the pack. But a great race from Gunmad there. From qualifying, I think he qualified P16 for round 2 and finished P16 in the end. Is a great improvement to get pole and then win the sprint race comfortably. I had a couple of second lead there at the end. Ross probably disappointed to miss out on a podium in the sprint race, starting P2. But that 1 second penalty that dropped him a couple of positions, really costing him there, even though it was just a 1 second penalty. So let's have a look for the feature race. So Alfaxad making some moves towards the end of that race there, doing a great job to get into 10th, putting him on pole. And he was 2nd or 3rd in the championship, so this is going to be great if he can get a strong result here with the Eroticos not racing. And we've got Hurricane in the Audi. They are currently leading the Constructors' Championship, so they'll be open for a good result to keep them ahead in that championship. Then we've got Zab in 3rd, also on the hards. Everyone on the hards so far. Got Marty also on the hards. He needs to keep an eye on his tyre wear, because I think he was the only one whose tyres completely died in the sprint race. So it'll be interesting to see how far he goes on that, if he goes slightly longer than some of the other cars when they swap to mediums. Got Ellie in 5th, got Filthy in 6th, Ross in 7th, Fancy in 8th, Henner's 10th, Gun Mad. Be interesting to see how well he can come through the pack from 10th, because he clearly had the pace in the sprint race. Then we've got Fossey, unfortunately, missing out on the reverse grid again, just. Skycloud, after that penalty, had a couple of incidents in that race. Then we've got Clyde, Kanata, and Dougal's actually on the mediums. So that's an interesting choice starting at the back. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make any progress through the field with everyone else on hards. It's an interesting choice starting on them when you're in last position, but we'll see how it works for him. Because he could get the undercut when he goes onto the fresh hard tyres, although they do take a while to heat up. But we are off, and see, is anybody going for a move? Looks like Filthy was possibly thinking about it. But everyone's sort of holding position into there. Not the longest run down to turn 1, so that's not too much of a surprise. Ellie has lost quite a lot of gap to Marty in that start. Maybe the Ford not got the acceleration off the rolling starts. Was coming under threat from Filthy now. Is Filthy looking for the move? Not really, just staying in line. Want to get the tyres up to a bit of temperature in the tyres before you start pushing and going for moves and stuff, because the hard tyres are not particularly grippy and they do take a couple of laps to come into the temperature window. Ross actually coming really close to going for a move on Filthy there. Well, it looks like for now everybody's holding position there. I think that was Henner's looking for the move on Fancy, but didn't quite manage to pull it off. And was that a penalty for Marty? It looks like that was a penalty for Marty. It's going to cost him a couple of positions, put him right back into the pack now. And Filthy going around the outside. Can he hold it around the outside to get this move done? Or is Marty going to be able to take it on the inside? Looks like Marty probably going to be able to hold this on the inside there. Yeah, he does manage to hold on to that position. It only costs him 2 positions in the end. But getting a penalty that early can be quite costly. It looks like Ross quite close to the back of Filthy. Doesn't look like he's lining up a move though. Ooh, it looked like he might be going for a late one there, but I think he was just taking a slightly different line into turn 1. And Henner's has actually managed to get past Fancy Locks and is already onto the back of Ross. And Henner's actually probably has more experience with the hard tyres because he has used them in every race so far, I think. Whereas this is only the second race for everyone else, because at Red Bull Ring they went with the medium soft. Henner's definitely looked like he's being the most aggressive in terms of moving forward and looks the most likely to move forward at the moment. Let's go back to the front and have a look. Harvax and Hurricane's kind of holding station really, not really too close to make a move or anything. Zab's dropped a little bit further back and starting to form a small train behind him. Oh, that's Marty going wide. I wonder if that's going to be a penalty because there are some dodgy track limits at that corner. Looks like he was just okay on that, but he's going to have slightly dirty tyres. That might be why he went a little bit deep there. But he has managed to close back onto Zab and Ellie. So still got the pace on the hard tyres for now. Nobody's... Oh, that was Ellie, I think. Oh, that was Fancy having a spin there. Did you just lose it on the exit, or was there any contact? Just goes over the curb a little bit onto the grass and just spins. That's going to drop them all the way to the back of the grid, and they've got some damage now to deal with. That'll be going in about 30 seconds, but that is quite costly. There's another 6 positions there. So it's a lot of work to make to get back into where they were before. So I'll have to keep an eye on and see how far Fancy can get through, because they had really good pace in the sprint. So at the front, everyone's kind of still holding station at the moment. Ross looks like he was really close to Filthy there. Not going for the move though. Looks like Filthy had a bit of a slide there. Ross trying to get to the inside but couldn't get there in time. And Ross and Hennes look the most likely to be making moves forward at the moment. Been all over the back of Filthy for pretty much since the start. Ross, yeah, moving out there just to make Filthy think about it. And Hennes actually really close onto the back of Ross there. It's a great exit. Ross does have the slipstream from Filthy and goes really deep on the brakes. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of contact there, but all looked fine. Hennes thinking about the move. He does manage to get to the inside. A little bit of contact there. And Hennes actually decides to drop back behind into this section. So Hennes is being really aggressive and definitely looks like he's being held up at the moment, although Ross does look like he's being held up by Filthy just a little bit as well. Hennes looked like he was sort of thinking about it. Yeah, I think Ross and Filthy are taking very different lines into that corner. Sometimes makes it look like Ross is going for the move even though he's quite a way back, but he's just turning in a little bit earlier. Does get him a better run through the corner and he's in the slipstream now. So is he going to be able to go for the move this time? Is Filthy going to defend? He is. Sends Ross to the outside. Hennes is actually going to bump Filthy along on the inside. Ross is going to break it deep. Manages to hold it. And he's through, and Hennes has managed to follow him through as well. So it's a great move from Ross there, and great opportunistic move from Hennes, managing to follow him through. I would expect those two to be able to close up onto the back of Marty now. They definitely look like they were being held up. And is Filthy going to come under pressure from Fossey now? Because he's immediately right onto the back of him. And Skycloud behind Fossey also looking to make a move. Actually, Gunmar's dropped down the position from the start, so not making too much progress, or making any progress in the feature race at the moment. Which would be unfortunate for him, given how much pace he had in the sprint. That was cool. We might miss a move there from Skycloud, just goes down the inside. Nice clean move there. So Skycloud making some progress through the field after missing out on the reverse grid in the sprint race, because they were 6th in qualifying, so they have some good pace. Just got caught up in a couple of incidents, had a big penalty. I think it was 3 seconds in the end, or 2 or 3 seconds, which really dropped them down to the bottom end of the field in the sprint. Hennes still sticking right on the back of Ross. So the Honda's definitely liking these hard tyres more than the R8 at the moment. I think that was Skycloud getting a good run on Filthy, so Filthy's not got the line for that turn 1 sorted. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd time he's got a bad run out of there. Does have the outside. Looks like he might have better top speed than the Lamborghini there. Look like unnecessary banging there. And Filthy getting messed up massively there. And something else has happened to Fancy as well. Had another 52. So probably another mistake there from Fancy, but Filthy's right down there with her from no fault of his own there. Getting reset by the game. And we've got Kanata with a 1 second penalty. So Dougal's managed to make some good progress so far. Medium tyres are holding up okay for now. Skycloud, yeah, you went into the back of him. That's unfortunate. This explains why he went so deep. He was still unlucky to get reset by the game there though. Kanata probably going to be able to hold this position. Yeah, should be able to hold that position there. Let's go back to the lead. So Arfaxad pulling out a small gap on Hurricane, but not really anything too major, nothing that's insurmountable. And we've got Zab still holding on to third. It's kind of held that gap from where it was after the first couple of laps to Hurricane. Marty's actually got past Ellie now. And Ross actually sets the fastest lap of the race on that one, to get a little bit away from Henner's, which you're probably glad of. He's been under pressure for him pretty much since lap 1. And then we've got a bit of a gap between Henner's and Skycloud now, after that incident with Filthy. And Gunmed back up into 10th now because of Filthy dropping down. And we'll be looking to make some moves. Skycloud managing to hold off Fossey on the inside there. But he's still looking for the move on Skycloud. Tries to hook to the inside there, can't quite get there. But actually coming under threat from Gunmad now, so he's going defensive more than he's attacking Skycloud there. Well, we've seen the Hondas get really good exits. Doesn't look like he got the best one there. Seko got a bit of a gap. Actually, Gunmad almost pulling alongside Fossey there. Decides not to go for the move though. And Fossey was looking a bit wide there. Not sure if he's going to pick up a penalty. He didn't, so that's good. But it looks very twitchy, that Honda. Maybe I understand why he doesn't get on with it so much. But I'd say this is probably one of his strongest showings so far, Fossey. He's got a good run out of there. Skycloud going immediately to the inside to defend. So is Fossey going to try and send it deep and go around the outside? It looks like he is. But it's not quite going to work out. It's actually coming under threat from Gunmad, who's completely alongside and almost past now. Is he far enough past to close off the inside? No, not quite. So he's pulled into the slipstream. Looks like he's just bumping him there. Actually, Clyde looking at the inside. Doesn't make him move though. And Gunmad picking up a 2.5 second penalty through there. These strong track limit penalties. If you voted for them, that's what you get. And he gained probably nothing, like a couple of tenths at most, and he gets a 2.5 second, which is like 3.5 second time loss, which is going to drop him behind both of these cars again. Might even drop him behind Dougal. I'm not sure about that one though. But we've actually got Clyde and Fossey still going at it. Fossey on the inside manages to hold it, and Gunmad does lose that place to Dougal behind. Clyde going around the outside, should be able to close off to the inside, and he does. Gets that move done nicely. So it's a good move there from Clyde, allows Skycloud to get some nice breathing room. So she'll be able to focus on her laps and try and close up to the back of Henner's. So we've got these three, these three, almost five really, in a line now. Marty's managed to get past Zab up into third. His hard tyres doing okay tyre on tyre life, especially compared to the other cars around him, so not as bad as he was on the softs. Then we've got Ellie in 5th, got Ross in 6th, and Henner's in 7th still. So Henner's still right on the back of Ross, but they both managed to close up onto the back of Ellie. But not close enough to think about going for a move yet. Ellie's really close behind Zab though, but having a lot of slides in that Ford. Not happy over the curbs, just getting kicked out on the rear, but managing to hold it. So Arfaxad, not really, as I say, Hurricane's probably closing that gap in, especially with that slide from Arfaxad there. Is that going to allow Hurricane a chance at a move? Not quite. But he's brought him right onto the back of him now. And they're still not that far away from the group of cars behind. Now Arfaxad going wide again onto the grass, but not as wide as Marty was there. Getting a lot of grass there. Going to make some dirty tyres into this next corner. So it'll be interesting to see if Zab can close up a little bit onto the main straight. Got Hurricane. Arfaxad trying to break the slipstream, which is an interesting choice, because Hurricane's not really that close to him. But Hurricane looked like he's taking a similar line to Ross there, and it looks like that is working out better for them than Arfaxad, who's going wide like his teammate. Hurricane getting a really good run there. Really close now, getting a strong effect from the slipstream. Is it going to be enough for him to actually pull alongside? Yes, it is. Goes to the outside. Doesn't quite get past or ahead, but they are going completely side by side. Nice driving there to keep it clean. But Arfaxad does hold on with the inside line for this big sweeping corner. And Marty's actually closing back up onto the back of these guys. Going side by side, that chicane costs you quite a lot of time. And no changes in the positions behind. They're starting to get really spicy now. It's a three-way fight for the lead. Actually, Hurricane probably under more threat from Marty right now, who's just gone a little bit deep on the brakes there. So that's going to give Hurricane a little bit of breathing room, see if he can get back onto the back of Arfaxad and go for the move. You can see Marty's tyres are slightly worse than the cars ahead, but not by that much, considering how big of the difference was in the sprint race. So no, I'm not expecting anybody in for a couple of laps yet at least. And these guys are all kind of spread out, but like Hennes is right on the back of Ross again. Ross is going to be sick of the sight of that Honda NSX in his mirrors. Goes defensive and covers off the inside, nothing really Hennes can do there. Does he get a good enough exit to get alongside? Not quite. So again, Hennes is just sat in the slipstream now until they get to the straight after these two kinks. And does he want to go for a move into the chicane? I would expect Ross to cover off the inside here, but not enough. So can Hennes get this move done? He's been right behind Ross for a long time now. Ross goes deep on the brakes. Ooh, big slide over the curbs. And that just gives the position to Hennes. So finally Hennes managing to get past Ross. Forcing Ross into that little mistake over the curbs there. And let's see if Hennes can make any more progress, because he's been rapid on these hard tyres. He doesn't quite have the fastest lap, he's only a tenth off it though. But he has been the one who's really looking for moves in this stint. Got a little bit of time to make up to Ellie. Ellie's pretty close to the back of Zab, who's doing a good job holding on in fourth, keeping in touch with the leaders. Been really consistent in the 47s, only that one lap in the mid 48s. But crucially, he hasn't picked up a penalty, which I think he might have done in the first race, which I think cost him a couple of positions. And that's really what you need to be focusing on, being consistent. And that was some sort of mistake there from Ellie, who's dropped quite a bit back from Zab now. And moving over to cover the inside, really, they're just breaking the slipstream there, I think. Hennes not really close enough to get a good run, still a bit of a gap. Be interesting to see if that's close enough to get a run to the chicane or not, because we've seen him go for that move on Ross already. Only really profited from Ross's mistake though, but forcing people into mistakes is part of the racing. Doesn't force Ellie to go defensive there though. So Henner's holding a much tighter line there around the hugging the inside curb. So it just looks like he's got a lot more front end grip than Ellie does in the Ford at the moment, which you would expect in the Honda, to be honest. It's plenty of rotation. It's usually more a problem of it being too much. But he's been doing really, really well in this stint. Slowly moving his way forward. Ross is still right on the back of him. So maybe this is just Ross just settling in a little bit with nobody right behind him anymore to put him under pressure. And he's hooked right onto the back of Henner's. And they're just solidly in this little 3-car train with a little bit of a gap to the cars ahead. So can Ellie get a good run out of here and hold the position? Looks like he got a decent run, but immediately coming under threat from Henner's. Looks like going to the outside. Does he go deep to try going the outside? No, maybe going for the cutback. Looked like there was a little bit of contact there. Let's have a look at that from Henner's point of view. It looked like he just mistimed that a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of contact there, just pushing it Ellie out wide. That's going to cost 2 positions. One to Henner's and then one to Ross. Be interesting to see if that got reported as well. Because it could be, I would expect a penalty for that, to be honest. Just mistiming the run a little bit. Ended up costing Ellie quite a lot there. But Henner's and Ross do now have some clear air to go into. And they're going to want to, well, Henner's is going to want to make as big a gap as possible because he might know that a penalty is coming for that. And the top 3 stay pretty much the same. Half outside built up a small bit of a gap again. So maybe just a couple of bad laps, yeah. 2 48s there, up from the 47s, but it's back into the 47s now. And is anybody going to come in on this lap? It's still probably a 1 lap too early to push the tyre to mediums, but it depends if you've got anyone's with good tyre. But I would expect Marty's definitely going to be going another lap, at least. But how about the McLaren? It is quite good on its tyres, but no, that's going for another one as well. Is anybody coming in? No, nobody decided to come in this early, I don't think. Yeah, nobody looks like they're coming in. And Clyde's actually making some good progress now. Got a bit roughed up in the sprint race, but had good pace, was 6th or 7th thing? 5th or 6th in qualifying, I think. And then just got beat up in the sprint race, but he's doing some really solid laps now. 47.0, that's only a couple of tenths off the fastest lap. And really caught up to Ellie. Ellie's dropped back massively from Ross and Henner's. And you've got a lot less fuel as well. Clyde looking around the outside but doesn't go for the move there. Just looking at the minimap, there are some people that are in the pits, so we'll go and have a look at who those were and see if anything comes from this little battle. Looks like it's calmed down a little bit now, so let's just go back and have a look. Fancy, no. Gunmad, okay, so Gunmad came in early. Somebody has quit, that is Kanata has gone and left the lobby. So that's not good for Kanata, but Gunmad makes sense going for the undercut. Because he was, I'm not sure where he managed to get up to, but he should be able to get a nice undercut on the fresh medium tyres now. So he'll be looking to jump probably a couple of people and try and get into the top 10 and then make progress from there, because he clearly had the pace in the sprint race. So Arfak's out, Hurricane's coming in, Marty's not coming in. Has to go a little bit wide because of the awkward pit exit. Looks like everybody else behind him is coming in. And his teammates actually staying out as well, so maybe an AMG strategy. Let's just wait for him to get there. Tyre wear pretty similar, so maybe they need to go for this extra lap to make this work. Everybody else coming in. Filthy coming in. Who was that? It was Fancy, I think, going round again. Which is interesting because their tyre wears are quite good at the moment, so they're going to be going really aggressive on the strategy on mediums. And they actually got a lot more fuel compared to the Mercedes in front. Not going to be enough to pull them into the fight with them, I don't think. Backside's gained quite a bit in the pit lane, so maybe came in with a bit more fuel because they've basically the same amount in. Zab looks like he's closing a little bit on Hurricane as well. Ross has got a big gap over Henner's now. They've got massively different amounts of fuel. So Ross put slightly less than the guys in front, but Henner's is putting significantly more than everybody in front. So maybe that NSX is a bit thirsty, but that's cost him 4 or 5 seconds, I think. Which is going to be a lot of time to make up. He did look like he had the pace, especially on the hards, but that is a big gap to make up now. We've got Ellie down in 9th, who's put a similar amount of fuel in, so that Ford really thirsty on the fuel. Got Skycloud behind and Gunmad in 11th, so I'm not sure if he's managed to jump a couple of people there, but he is on the outskirts of the top 10 and he can still... Henner's has got the pace, so that might be a bit of a stretch, but 9th is definitely possible for Gunmad here. Got the 2 Mercedes in now, and Fancy Locks, yeah, following him in. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys come out. To go in 1 lap more, he should have lost at least a little bit of time doing an extra lap on old hards compared to the fresh mediums. Puts in the same amount of fuel the other cars put in a lap earlier, so he's actually put up in more fuel. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Both MGs putting in the same amount. Fancy actually putting in even less, so they must be doing a lot of fuel saving there. Yeah, that's cost Marty a couple of positions. Has it cost him the positions of Henner's? Doesn't look like it has. Well, that has definitely cost him 2 positions and a chunk of time behind Ross as well. But he did have good pace. Gunmad actually setting the fastest lap of the race, so we knew he had the pace. And Clyde coming out, yeah, and you're a bit slower coming out of the pit lane there, so Skycloud just using the run to get the move done there. But this is good for Gunmad because that's an extra person that's right in front of him that he should be able to get. So 7th, now that everybody's pitted, is probably where Gunmad is currently looking at and hoping for some penalties for the cars up ahead, either on track or off it. You can see how much the difference in tyre wear is already, just from the couple of extra laps that Gunmad's done. So I want to get this done as soon as possible, because if they get down to around 50%, he's going to hit that performance drop off first, and it's going to make it a lot harder. We've got Skycloud actually looking at the back of Ellie, but Ellie might be able to, depends how much fuel saving. Now, given that they put more fuel in, I'm guessing they're not doing fuel saving in this second half, so they might be able to just pull away, having started further up and had a better result in the sprint race as well. But it looks like Gunmad going for the move in the background there. Looked like Clyde went a little bit wide, or was a little bit slow through that corner. And Gunmad should be able to get the move done here down the inside, and he does. Yeah, a little bit of a slide there, but he does hold on to the position for now. But he's going to allow Clyde right back onto the back of him. But Gunmad, as long as he covers off the inside here and forces Clyde to the outside, he should be able to hold this. Kind of parks it in the middle of the road. Here's Clyde. Looks like Clyde might be just bump drafting there. And there does allow Gunmad to hold the position pretty comfortably. And he's got a bit of a gap now. He's got a little bit separate. Let's go and see how the front of the field is shaping up. That was Ross close to the back of Zab now. There's still a bit of a gap between the top two. But I say fighting to get on the podium. And Ross has been pretty consistent in every race so far. Sort of third or fourth around that area, apart from the rain race in Red Bull Ring where he was in the bottom end of the top 10, I think, with a bit of an unfortunate strategy they ended up being forced into. But this will be great for his championship with the Roscoe's not here. Like, he might even take the championship lead, even with Arfaxad leading, because of the bad sprint race for Arfaxad. So I think we're going to stick with this one for a little bit, keep an eye on it, because this was pretty close and it is the fight for the podium. Ross is not looking like he's too far into the slipstream range, not going to be close enough to go for a move into the chicane. So he's just looking to start properly getting on the back of Zab, try and force him into some mistakes. He's got slightly less fuel, but that could be car related more than who's trying to save more fuel or not. And there was a little bit of a mistake there from Zab. Ross trying to make the most of it and go around the outside. Does manage to hold it there. Not sure if Zab backs out of that a little bit because of the contact. But Marty's actually right onto the back of these two already with that fastest lap. So he'll be wanting to make quick work of this as well, because he does have fresher tyres, although it's not that different, to be honest, especially on the fronts. So that is that heavier tyre wear coming back from the sprint race, which we have seen. But Ross now up into third. He's got his teammate ahead of him. It'll be interesting to see if he can catch that gap, because there was a big difference in qualifying and quite a big position difference in the sprint race. So a P2 and even a P1 is not completely out of the question, although it would need probably a penalty or some such from Arfaxad, who's just looked pretty solid up at the front. Doing consistent low 46s there. Second off from the fastest lap, but he doesn't need to push it for one fastest lap. He's more bothered about keeping it consistent and no penalties. Then we've got Sab still holding on ahead of Marty for now. And Henner's in the background. Looks like he's closing that gap a little bit. Not sure if it's going to be enough or fast enough to get onto the back of these before the end of the race. And while there's nothing going on here, we've actually got Gunmad who's made the move on Sky. What happened to Skycloud? Oh, Skycloud got damage. Joe just clipping it. I think that was it Ellie who did the same, or was it Fancy Locks in the sprint race did the same? Just clipping that grass on the outside, some slides, and straight into the wall there. It allows Fossey through, so Skycloud down to 12th now. Got Fancy close enough to potentially make some positions back up after that unfortunate couple of incidents in the first couple of laps, I think. One of them we missed. And we've got Dougal on the hards, which has been a bit of a rough race for Dougal. Managed to make a bit of progress with the medium tyres at the beginning, but didn't manage to work out position-wise for him. But now we've got Marty's actually dropped back a bit from Zab, but is this going to be a little bit of a mistake from Zab? Or not really, so far. Oh yeah, just goes a little bit wide. Marty dives down the inside there. Nice opportunity taken from Marty. And that is Zab down to 5th at the moment. Just making a couple of small mistakes there. One in front of Ross, costing both those positions. Still got a bit of a gap behind, so if he can sort of refocus, he can still hold on to this top 5, which would be a good result for Zab. Kind of what we expected after a really strong last season. Hasn't had the best couple of races in the last 2 rounds, but he's doing a lot better in this one. Hennes is closing that gap in. And in fact, it took a couple of seconds out of him on the last lap. And Zab made another mistake on this lap, so it's probably going to be about the same. So he's not safe in this position yet. At all. And Hurricane... I'm not sure what Hurricane was doing there. Because Ross is nowhere near close enough to be trying to break the slipstream. Maybe he's trying to signal to his pit crew that he wants a pint when he gets back into the box. Who knows? Yeah, so 47.0 for Zab, 46.0, so only took a second out of Zab, but it's still... It's going to be a big ask, I think. Still going to be a big ask. Got Ellie holding on to 7th, got a comfortable gap now over Gunmad, and now you can see this big difference in the tyre wear. It's actually allowed Clyde to come back onto the back of Gunmad now. So saying Gunmad had the possibility of going for 7th. Looks like he's more going to be trying to hold on to 8th at the moment, if he can. You can see him just taking wider lines there because of the tyres. And I wonder how close to dead those tyres are going to get, because Clyde shouldn't have any problems really. Although he has a couple of laps less, yeah, 2 laps less on the tyres, and he is still taking a decent amount out of them. And we've got Filthy behind, who's really good on the tyres as well. Skyclay back up to 11th ahead of Fossey, who's had a bit of a struggle in this second half of this. Was doing okay at the start, especially in the sprint race actually, but managed to end up getting shuffled down, and he's kind of ended up right back where he started, but with Fancy close to the back of him, who we think is doing some fuel saving though, Fancy, so going for the overtake might be a bit tricky. And we've got the 2 Purple Grapes, that's the team name I think, closing in together. So are they going to fight, or is Hurricane going to let Ross through? Because Ross is the one that's going for the title in this season, I think, out of the 2. And they're just going to be looking for good constructors' points, which are obviously going to be the same regardless of who finishes where. Zab has actually got back ahead of Marty, so I think that might have been a penalty possibly for Marty. So Zab on for a top 4, which is another great result. And has that dropped Marty into the clutches of Hennes. Tyre wear on the front's looking pretty similar. Tyres on the rear of Hennes looking considerably worse, which we would expect with the MR car. But with 3 laps left after this, it's not impossible for Hennes to get at least Marty and get a top 5, which I would say is still a good result, because he's closing a big gap to get to this point. Does have the potential penalty hanging over him from the incident earlier. And Gunmad's actually closed into Ellie, which is surprising. But he's not coming under threat from Clyde anymore. So I'm not sure if that was a mistake from Clyde, possibly dropping him off the back, but it is good that Gunmad is closing in on Ellie. Ellie's still got more fuel, so I don't think it's any fuel concerns at this point. Ooh, but that's going to be a penalty, I think, for Gunmad and probably for Clyde as well. Yeah, half a second and 1.5 for Clyde. So Gunmad obviously lifting off when he was off the track, I think, and only picking up the half second. But at least that's not going to cost him a position. It might cost Clyde a position to Filthy. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to profit from those behind. Hurricane has essentially let Ross go. But let's have a look at this. Is this Ross going for the move, or is this Hurricane letting his teammate through? Or just not fighting it? Either or. So Ross is in the slipstream. Does Hurricane defend? I'm not sure whether that was defending or not, really. But it looked like moving out of the way, I guess. Not exactly how I would have done that, but it's worked out. Ross up into second now. So another great race from Ross. Still without a win this season at the moment. And probably not going to be able to close that gap in without some help from Arfaxad. But moving up in second probably guarantees him leading the championship after this, I think. With Arfaxad P10 in the sprint race, it's definitely going to be a points gain for Ross. And it's going to be a double podium for the Flying Grapes. That's going to do him wonders for the Constructors' Championship. Still got Zab holding on nicely from Marty, whose tyres are actually looking worse than Zab's are at the moment. And actually, Zab's done one lap more on them than Marty has. So that's that tyre wear kicking in. Henner's looks like he's closing in, but the amount he's closing in has lessened considerably. And that was Ellie going really wide there, which is pretty much undoing whatever Gunmad's penalty did. But did drop Clyde behind Filthy, which is what we expected with that 1.5 second penalty. Just the one position, still top 10 for Clyde, which is still a good result. Probably not as good as he was hoping for, because he does seem to have had the pace around here for maybe to be on the edge of fighting for a top 5 potentially. But yeah, Filthy's tyres are in a much better condition than Gunmad's. His tyres should just about hold on until the end of the race. So it'll be interesting to see if Filthy can close in when he gets to the really, really warm point. And he's still got a reasonably comfortable gap, only 1.5 laps left, better tyre wear, should be able to hold on to that 7th place. So we've got anyone who's thinking about going for a move. Ross has closed in massively onto the back of Arfaxad there. So is that a mistake? That must be a mistake from Arfaxad. He's a couple of seconds down on this lap. So the fight for the win isn't even over yet. Like, if Arfaxad gets forced into another mistake, starts looking at the gap behind, that's only 1.5 seconds? 1.5 to 2 seconds? And it's not impossible with a mistake or a penalty that this race could go to Ross. Ross does have a lot less fuel, but he seems to be managing it pretty well because he's not struggled to make moves in this second half of the race. Completely driven away from Hurricane, who's actually got the same amount of fuel, so maybe having the same amount of fuel problems but not being able to keep the pace as much. Saab has a little bit more. Marcy's got a little bit more than that. Henner's pretty low on the fuel, but we know he's been going basically flat out because he put a lot of fuel in that car at the pit stop. But it looks like these guys are pretty locked into their positions without some sort of mistake or penalty, and it's actually Ross that is still closing in onto the back of Arfaxad. Probably still going to need a mistake even if he gets to the back of him, because there's not going to be anywhere to make a move by the time he gets there. This has been a great second half of the race from Ross, because he was a fair few seconds down on Arfaxad, and he was a lot of there was a big gap just on the before the last lap, obviously helping Arfaxad making that mistake. But this is close enough to potentially try and force Arfaxad into a mistake. With Arfaxad thinking, is he going to go for a move? Is he close enough to think about going for a move? Still think that's what it's going to take though, because he's let his 1 lap too short. But is he going to run out of fuel? It looks like he's probably just about got enough to do it without. But yeah, Ross coming up just short there, but Arfaxad, who's going to take the win in this one. Really good race from Arfaxad, led from the front and just did his own race really well. Hurricane getting on the podium. Zab does hold on to 4th just ahead of Marty. Henner's recovering to 6th after dropping back from the long pit stop. Then we've got Ellie holding on to 7th, and we've got, looks like Filthy going around the outside of Gunmad there. Yeah, it was Gunmad. Actually, he had, I think he just picked up damage there. But his tyres were dead at the end of that one, which glides Filthy through. Clyde ends up 10th, Skycloud in 11th, Fancy locks up to 12th, does manage to get past Fossey, who ends up 13th. And we've got Stay Frosty, who's actually pit to go onto the soft tyres. Didn't manage to get the fastest lap though, which I imagine was what he was going for at the end there. Bit of a glory run. See if we can get any extra points. We do have a point for the fastest lap. Yeah, and that is Stay Frosty across the line in 14th. So let's have a quick look at the standings after that. So we do have Ross in the lead. Got a 9-point lead over Arfaxad, who moves up to second. Henner's in third, only 1 point behind Arfaxad. Marty's in fourth, few points behind that. Roscoe's down to fifth after missing this round. So a 20-point gap to the lead of the championship. Still not unrecoverable. We're not even halfway through yet. So it's definitely still a possibility for him to get the championship. Then we've got Ellie in 6th, Hurricane in 7th, Fancy 8th, Filthy in 9th, and Kanata rounding out the top 10, even with that DNF in the last race. And for the constructors, we've actually got Audi with a 23-point lead over McLaren, and with a 5-point lead over Ford GT. So that's looking like probably a three-way fight, I would say, for that. BMW suffering in that round a little bit with the Roscoe's not racing. But it was a really good race, really good performances in both from Gunmad in the sprint and Arfaxad in the feature. And we'll be back next week for Saint Croix, which nobody knows the layout of. So that'll be very interesting to see who's sweated out the practice. But yeah, with that, I'll see you guys all next week.